All right, everyone. I wanted to talk about well, first of all, I want to say happy belated Trump anniversary. 1 year ago, yesterday, Trump was elected president for number 45. The day before, well, it didn't go over so well for the candidates here in Virginia, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people are making Virginia out to be a big success story for the Democrats, and oh, they made great gains. No, they didn't. And statewide, the Democrats, all they needed to do was hold the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. They had those offices. So statewide, they just needed to hold on to those offices. And they did that. Now, some of the legislative seats changed, but not the control in the House. The Republicans still have control of the legislative body here in Virginia. And so it actually wasn't a great victory. And when I look at New Jersey, New Jersey was a blue state. It is a blue state. And the fact that Chris Christie was even elected as a Republican was actually pretty shocking. And Chris Christie, in his last term, made a complete ass of himself and just, his body didn't deflate, but he deflated his reputation very quickly, faster than a rock in water. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, unfortunately carried over to his lieutenant general or his lieutenant governor. So again, looking at these saying, oh, this is a great victory, it's not. They just maintained what they had in Virginia. And I'm going to tell you why less people turned out for Ed Gillespie than did for Donald Trump. When you have two choices between socialism and socialism light, that's no choice at all. Ed Gillespie is a lobbyist from DC that was a neocon. No different than Ralph Northam, who's a neoliberal. There was literally no difference. When friends would ask me or say, tell me why I should vote for Ed, I really couldn't tell you because in the primaries, I didn't support Ed Gillespie. I supported his opponent, Corey Stewart. And it was a very disgusting primary. And I did not support Ed Gillespie. If I support a candidate, I will tell you I support a candidate. I will tell you why you should vote for that candidate. I'll make a video telling you why you should vote for that candidate if I support that candidate. You really didn't see me do that until the Latinos for Victory ad came out. And then I said, I am so disgusted by the racism and the fact that the race card had to be pulled in this situation. And really, if you're a white man and you voted Democrat, you're an idiot because they hate you and you are completely disposable in this society. And I'm glad I was born a minority because I actually have more say and will eventually have more rights than you will as a white person. Just saying. But I mean, they hate you. And if you vote for people who hate you, then you're stupid. But people would ask me, why should I vote for him? And I would tell them, I can't tell you because there's no difference. They mimic, they parrot the party platforms, but there's no difference. And when you look at the leadership last year, we had a movement. We supported Donald Trump. We went to the voting booth. We voted for Donald Trump. And it wasn't even about Donald Trump himself. It was the fact that Donald Trump, who, by the way, is not the sharpest tool in the shed, he does get manipulated by the deep state and the media. And he trolls them back, but he's really manipulated by them. But the thing is, it was a movement, and it wasn't about Donald Trump. It could have been anybody. Donald Trump was fighting against the establishment. And that's what we voted for. We voted for someone who went against the grain. Well, there were bold differences in the choices that we had. You either had a socialist, you had a socialist, a neo-lib, whose claim to fame was she was married to the president and she's a woman. Or you had someone who was fighting against the establishment, offering us something different. And they hated him for it. The media hated him for it. They hammered him. The establishment hated Donald Trump. They tried to silence him, and he fought back. And we said, that's the person we want. We want someone who's going to stand up to these people and fight back. And by the way, the neo-lib rigged the primary against the socialist, which in the Democratic Party's defense, Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. He is an independent. He switched to Democrat in order to vote to run for president, because even he knows it's only a two-party system, and if he ran as an outsider, he probably would not have been elected. Well, I think he actually had a good chance of beating Donald Trump, because there would have been bold differences between the two. But, you know, Donna Brazile comes out and admits, yeah, the primary was rigged against Bernie. Hillary controlled everything. She had controlled the money, and this was her show. Bernie was never going to get in. And I said that when I watched the first couple of Democrat debates. I said, oh, this is all for show. He's not hitting back at her hard like he wants to beat her. The other candidates, Jim Webb is actually a Democrat that I would probably have voted for. And he was knocked out during the first round. But when people are looking for a choice and there's no choice to be had, people are not going to turn out to vote. You have Mitch McConnell, who's in charge of the Senate. You have John McShane. He is a shame. John McShane in the Senate. We've had we're going on 11 months. The House has gotten things moved through. The Senate is where things stagnate and die. Who's in charge of the Senate? Mitch McConnell and John McShane and Jeff Flake. I mean, I can't even screw his name up. His name says it all. He's a flake. And by the way, John McShane and Jeff Flake, they voted a couple of years ago to give the Oak Flat Apache lands to foreign mining interests. And the Oak Flat mining land is on the Apache reservation. It's Apache land. So, you know, there you go. I've hated them since that happened. So I know that everyone's talking about the Dakota pipeline, but this was the protest before the pipeline protests, before Standing Rock. There was Oak Flat. And, you know, the Republicans didn't win anything because they didn't want it. The establishment in Virginia did not want it. The primary here was so contested. I was a supporter of Corey Stewart. I went to a party. I met Corey Stewart. We got along famously. He even let me take a picture with my head on his shoulder. It was just really a sweet picture. And we got along really well, and I decided to support Corey Stewart in the primary. I never met Ed. Everything Ed went to was either too far for me, or I had to pay money to meet him, and I was not going to pay money to meet a candidate. And so I became a Corey Stewart supporter. Corey Stewart he stands up for the things that I think are important to me as a voter. Low taxes, you know, more local control in government, smaller government, to save our monuments, to protect our history. He's for all of those things that I support. But because he supported the monuments and protecting the monuments, Ed Gillespie in the primary and his supporters went after the Stewart supporters. They called us white nationalists. They called us Nazis. They called us white supremacists. I am not a white supremacist. In fact, I don't even have any white artwork on my walls. You'll notice up there I have 2 paintings over my head of Tim Sopity. He's a member of my tribe. So this is a Comanche artist's artwork on my walls because I support people in my tribe. So, you know, to be called those names really pissed me off. And to be trolled by these people that supported Ed and to be called names, and then you want me to turn around and support your candidate? Are you fucking crazy? So no, I was not going to vote for Ed Gillespie until that racist attack ad came out against him. On one hand, I felt it was karma, but on the other hand, I don't like the race card being played, especially when there is no race card to be played. The choice between Ed Gillespie and Ralph Northam was like, do you want wheat bread or extra wheat bread? I mean, that was the difference. Do you want sugar-free peppermints or sugar-free mints? There was really no difference between the two. And so when people are saying that the Democrat Party won big in Virginia, let them celebrate, let them think that, but that's not actually what happened. And we do need candidates with big, bold differences. It's about the movement away from the establishment. You get someone who's going to move against the establishment, and people like me will turn out and we will talk to our friends. We will put out videos and we will support that candidate. We will do everything we can to get that candidate elected. I sat on the sidelines because I didn't want milk toast or toast. You know, almond milk or soy milk. You know, it was bland. It was white. It was boring. It was blah. And then looking at the election, I also noticed that a lot of the transgenders are being celebrated. But before I get onto that, well, yes, let's talk about the transgenders. I, as a woman, born a woman, suffering, you know, the things that women suffer, the monthly, you know, cramps, you know, having to bleed every month. Women that are born women, you know, will give birth to children. You know, all of those things are things that transgender men who wish to be women, these men who want to use the little girls' rooms because they can't piss anywhere else, they're being celebrated like they're the first woman, blah, blah, blah. If you are trans, you are not a woman. Science says you are not a woman. I mean, I keep hearing people say, well, do you believe in science or are you a science denier? When it comes to transgenderism, do you believe in science or are you a science denier? There are only 2 genders in science, male or female. So you are born either a male or a female. Science has the ability to change you, to change your gender, but you're still not going to actually biologically be what science can make you, because you either have an X chromosome or a Y chromosome. Me as a woman from birth, I don't like that these men are coming in and appropriating my gender and using their male privilege to get themselves into office. I don't care if you want to dress as a woman, you want to present yourself as a woman. I don't care if you're a drag queen, if you're a cross-dresser. Everyone has the right to live in a manner which makes them happy as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. And you have the right to be offended by what I'm saying as much as I have the right to be offended that you are trying to appropriate my gender. You will never be a woman. You will never be a full-fledged woman. When Oprah Winfrey was going berserk over a man who was pregnant, the first man to give birth, everybody was up in arms. Oprah was doing specials because this was the first man to get pregnant and to give birth. No, actually, it's not a miracle. It's biology, because it turned out that that man used to be a woman and still had the woman reproductive system in his body. So no, it wasn't a miracle. It was science. The only people that have the right to choose their gender is anyone who is born a gender that is undetermined, where they cannot tell the gender because the genitalia is not fully formed. And I used to work in the NICU, in the neonatal intensive care unit, and I have seen children born with an undetermined gender. So that's my rant on the election. I am with Steve Bannon 100%. I am a Steve Bannon Republican. Steve Bannon, I am hoping, is the future of our party. I love Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is not a racist. Steve Bannon came out and says that bitch McConnell must resign from the Senate because he cannot get anything done. And that's why people did not come out for Republicans, because they are getting absolutely zero done. They got nothing done except to get their president under an FBI investigation. That's the only thing they've done. So bitch McConnell does need to resign. Jeff Sessions needs to get off his ass and investigate Hillary Clinton for the uranium one. And if he doesn't get off his ass, he needs to get off the pot as well. It's called shit or get off the pot. Or I should say, lose the elections. Because we're not going to come out for you. I'm not going to come out for any of you that do not support our president, that does not support this movement. And I hope that Steve Bannon is the future of our party. I would gladly follow him. I will gladly support him. And I loved last night. Did anyone hear the screaming? I missed it. I didn't get to hear the retard scream. I'm sorry, the whatever the hell they are, the liberals screaming their autistic scream over Donald Trump being elected. If that's the only thing you can do is scream, that, you know, I want to laugh at you, but it is a peaceful thing, so I do applaud you. The liberals did stay peaceful this time, so they finally found a way to be peaceful. So I really don't want to make fun of them too much, because, you know, nothing got smashed, nobody got beaten up. So, you know, thank you for staying peaceful and just screaming at the moon like the animals that you are. Right? Animals howling at the moon. Anyway, that's all I have to say. This video is running long, so I'm going to go out. I'm getting ready for bed. It's late, so peace. Talk to you later. And I'm out in 3, 2,